The moment I finally landed my dream job should have been the happiest day of my life. Instead, I found myself screaming into my steering wheel in the parking lot of Morgan Stanley, mascara running down my face, while my mother's words echoed in my head. "Oh, honey, I sold Cooper. But don't worry, I got us both tickets for a Caribbean cruise. My name is Hadley, and I just became the youngest financial analyst in my division. The promotion I'd been working towards for 3 years finally came through, and all I wanted was to go home and celebrate with my best friend in the whole world, my golden retriever, Cooper. He'd been there through every late night of studying, every rejection letter, every moment of doubt. "This isn't happening," I whispered, fumbling for my phone. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely dial Pearl's number. "Hey, superstar, how's the first day going?" Pearl's cheerful voice came through the speaker. "She sold him," my voice cracked. "My mother sold Cooper." "She did what?" Pearl's tone shifted instantly from celebration to rage. "Tell me everything, now!" I took a deep breath, trying to steady myself. She called during my lunch break, all excited about some cruise deal she got from her friend Stephen. Said she needed quick cash for the deposit, and since I was always too busy with work to properly care for a dog anyway, she did me a favour and sold him. "Oh my God, Hadley, that's not just crossing a line, that's obliterating it. Where is Cooper now?" "I don't know," I choked out. "She won't tell me who bought him. Says it's for the best if I don't try to contact them." My phone buzzed with a text from my mother. "Don't forget dinner tonight, celebrating your promotion and our upcoming cruise." "I can't believe she expects me to celebrate with her," I said to Pearl, "like she didn't just sell my dog without my permission." "Then don't," Pearl said firmly. "Come to my place instead. We'll figure this out." "I have to confront her," I replied, wiping my eyes. "I need to know who has Cooper." "Want me to come with you?" "No, I need to do this alone." I started my car. "But can you be on standby?" "Always. And Hadley, don't let her twist this around. She's wrong, and what she did is illegal." I drove to my mother's house, the same house I grew up in, with its perfectly manicured lawn and gleaming windows. My mother, Michelle, opened the door, wearing her signature pearls and a bright smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. "There's my successful girl." She went in for a hug, but I stepped back. "Where's Cooper?" I demanded. "Oh, honey, we've been through this. He went to a lovely family with 3 children. He'll be so much happier there." She waved dismissively. "Now come see the cruise itinerary." "Mum, Cooper was my dog. I paid for him. I trained him. His microchip is in my name. What you did is theft." She rolled her eyes. "Don't be so dramatic. I'm your mother. Everything you have is because of me. Besides, you're far too busy for a dog now. Stephen got us an amazing deal on this cruise, and—" "I don't care about the cruise," I shouted, surprising us both. "I want my dog back." "Lower your voice," she hissed, glancing at the neighbours' houses. "You're making a scene." "Good. Maybe the neighbours should know what you did. Maybe everyone should know how you sold your daughter's dog for cruise tickets." "I did you a favour," she said, her voice taking on that familiar condescending tone. "You'll thank me later. Now, are you coming in for dinner or not?" I stared at her, really seeing her for the first time. The perfectly coiffed hair, the expensive clothes, the practiced smile. It was all a facade hiding something ugly underneath. "No," I said quietly. "I'm not coming in, but I want you to know something, Mum. I'm going to find Cooper, and when I do, you're going to regret ever thinking you could get away with this." Her smile faltered slightly. "Don't threaten me, Hadley. It's not becoming." "It's not a threat," I replied, turning to leave. "It's a promise." As I walked back to my car, my phone buzzed again. Another text from my mother. "You're being childish. Call me when you've calmed down." I deleted the message and called Pearl instead. "Hey," I said when she answered. "Remember that time in college when you said I should stand up to my mother more?" "Yeah? Well, I'm ready now, and I'm going to need your help." "Your mother did the exact same thing with your college fund," Pearl said, sliding a glass of wine across her kitchen counter to me. "Remember? She used it for that spa retreat in Arizona." I took a long sip, memories flooding back. "Yeah, but that was different. I had scholarships by then." "It's not different," Pearl insisted, pulling out her laptop. "It's a pattern. She takes what matters to you and turns it into something for herself, and we're going to prove it." I'd been at Pearl's apartment for hours, trying to piece together a plan to find Cooper. The sun had long since set, and my phone was filled with ignored texts from my mother. "First things first," Pearl said, typing furiously. "Cooper's microchip. You said it's registered to you." "Yes, but..." "No buts. That's our leverage." She spun the laptop toward me. "Look up the registry. Report him as stolen." As I logged into the pet microchip website, my phone rang. It was Caden, my new boss. "Hadley, sorry to call so late, but I noticed you seemed off during the afternoon meeting. Everything okay?" I glanced at Pearl, who nodded encouragingly. "Actually, no. My mother sold my dog without my permission today. I'm trying to get him back." There was a pause. That's actually illegal. Do you need some time off to sort this out?" "No," I said quickly. "Work is the only normal thing I have right now, but thank you." After hanging up, Pearl was grinning. "See, even your boss thinks your mum is crazy. Now tell me about this Stephen person. The one with the cruise tickets?" "He owns the cruise line. Mum met him at some charity gala last year. They've been friends ever since." I made air quotes around the word friends. Perfect. Pearl opened a new browser tab. "Let's see what we can find about him." As she searched, my phone buzzed with another text from my mother. "Stephen says he can upgrade us to a suite if we book by tomorrow. Don't throw away this opportunity because of a dog." "God, she's unbelievable," I muttered, showing Pearl the text. "Wait a minute." Pearl squinted at her screen. "Stephen Rose. Isn't he the one who got caught in that scandal with the charity funds last year?" "What scandal?" "It was all over the local news. Something about misappropriated donations. The charges were dropped, but..." She turned the laptop to show me a news article. "And my mother's friends with him?" I leaned closer to read. "Actually, I remember now. Mum used to work with someone who was involved in that investigation. What was his name? Dan Edwards." Pearl's eyes lit up. "Can you contact him?" "Maybe. He and Mom had a huge falling out right after the scandal broke." I pulled out my phone and opened LinkedIn. "Here he is. He works at a law firm downtown now." "Message him," Pearl urged. "He might know something we can use." As I typed out a message to Dan, Pearl continued digging. "Your mum's been busy," she said after a while. "Look at all these charity event photos. She's on the board of 3 different organisations. Yeah, she loves the attention." I rolled my eyes. "Always has to be the centre of..." "Wait, go back to that photo." Pearl scrolled back. There was my mother standing between Stephen and a familiar face I couldn't quite place. "That's William something," Pearl said. "He's tagged in the photo, William Fowler. He runs some tech startup." My heart stopped. "Pearl, look at his profile picture." There, on William's profile, was a recent photo of him with a golden retriever. My golden retriever. Cooper. "Found you," I whispered. "Holy shit," Pearl breathed. "Hadley, according to this, William is an investor in Stephen's cruise line." The pieces started falling into place. "So, my mother sold Cooper to her friend's business partner for cruise tickets?" "This is good," Pearl said, grabbing my arm. "This means we can track him down. And look, there's a charity gala next weekend. All these people will be there." I stared at the event page, an idea forming, including my mother. "According to the RSVP list, yes. Why?" I pulled out my phone and found Dan Edwards' profile again. "Because I think it's time everyone knew exactly what kind of person my mother is. And Dan might be just the person to help us do it." Pearl closed her laptop, a concerned look crossing her face. "Hadley, what are you planning?" "Something my mother taught me," I said, hitting send on my message to Dan. "That image is everything, and it's time to shatter hers." Dan Edwards agreed to meet me at a quiet coffee shop downtown, far from my mother's usual haunts. He looked older than I remembered, his hair now completely grey, but his eyes still held that sharp intelligence I recalled from my childhood. "Hadley," he said, standing to greet me, "you look just like your father." I settled into the chair across from him. That would drive my mother crazy to hear. "Good," he smiled grimly. "Now tell me why you suddenly want to know about the charity scandal after all this time." I took a deep breath. "My mother sold my dog to William Fowler in exchange for cruise tickets from Stephen." Dan's coffee cup froze halfway to his mouth. "She did what?" "I need leverage," I said. "Something to make them give Cooper back, And I know you know things about my mother and Stephen that never made it to the papers. He set his cup down slowly. Your mother? She always was good at making things disappear. Money, problems, people who got in her way. What do you mean? The charity scandal wasn't just about missing donations. Dan leaned forward. It was about systematic fraud. Stephen would inflate the value of cruise packages donated to charity auctions. Your mother would arrange for specific buyers to win them at discount prices. The difference would be split between them. My phone buzzed. Another text from my mother. Hadley, darling, the cruise deposit is due tomorrow. Don't make me lose this opportunity. I showed Dan the message. She's still at it, isn't she? Let me guess. Stephen offered her an amazing deal. Dan's voice dripped with sarcasm. A sweet upgrade if we book immediately. Classic pressure tactic. They use the same playbook every time. He pulled out his phone and scrolled through some files. I kept everything, you know. All the evidence. The DA didn't pursue it because bigger fish came along, but what? But the statute of limitations hasn't run out. He showed me some documents. These show your mother's signature on fraudulent paperwork. She claimed these cruise packages were worth triple their actual value. My hands shook as I read. This would ruin her. Yes, it would. Dan sat back. Question is, are you prepared for what that means? Before I could answer, my phone rang. It was Pearl. Hadley, you need to check your email right now, she said without preamble. William Fowler just posted photos of Cooper on Instagram. He's taking him on the same cruise your mum's booking. I quickly opened my email to find Pearl's screenshots. There was Cooper, sitting on a luxury yacht, wearing a new collar that probably cost more than my monthly rent. The cruise is next week, Pearl continued. He's bragging about some VIP package he got through Stephen. Dan was watching me carefully. The gala is this weekend, he said. 3 days before the cruise. Perfect timing to expose everything. But will it be enough to get Cooper back? I asked. Maybe not alone, Dan admitted. But I have something else. Something your mother doesn't know I know about. He pulled out another file. Remember when your father's life insurance policy mysteriously paid out to her instead of you? My heart stopped. She told me Dad changed the beneficiary before he died. He didn't. She forged his signature. I have proof. The coffee shop suddenly felt very small. Why? Why didn't you ever say anything? Because by the time I found out, the scandal had broken, and your mother had made sure I was discredited. He smiled sadly. But now? Now we can use it all. My phone buzzed again, this time with an email from William Fowler himself. Looking forward to meeting you at the gala. Your mother speaks highly of you. He doesn't know, I realised. William doesn't know Cooper was stolen. No, Dan agreed. And I bet good money Stephen didn't tell him where those discounted cruise tickets really came from either. I looked at the documents in front of me, then at the photo of Cooper on William's Instagram. The gala's in 3 days. Yes, and you'll help me? Dan gathered his files. Your mother ruined my career to save herself, cost me my reputation, my savings, everything. So yes, I'll help you. But Hadley, he caught my eye. Be sure you're ready for the fallout. Your mother won't go down quietly. I know, I said, thinking of Cooper, but neither will I. As I left the coffee shop, I called Pearl. Book us tickets for the gala, I said. And remember that black dress you said was too dramatic for any normal occasion? Yeah? Wear it. Because this isn't going to be a normal charity gala. This is going to be a reckoning. The next 2 days at work were a blur of spreadsheets and stolen phone calls. I was in the middle of a budget meeting when Stephen himself called. Hadley, your mother tells me you're hesitating about the cruise. His voice boomed through my phone as I stood in the hallway. Let me sweeten the deal. I'll upgrade both cabins to full suites, ocean view. Both cabins? I asked, playing dumb. Yes, yours and William's. He's bringing his new dog. Wonderful animal, by the way. Your mother mentioned you love dogs. My knuckles turned white around my phone. Did she? Listen, come to the gala tomorrow night. We'll talk details then. Your mother says you're quite the financial whiz. Maybe we could discuss some investment opportunities too. After hanging up, I found Caden waiting by my office door. Everything okay? He asked. You've seemed distracted. I'm sorry, Don't apologise, he cut me off. I overheard your conversation. Stephen Rose, huh? Be careful there. His company's financials are creative, let's say. I looked at him sharply. What do you mean? Let's just say there's a reason we've never done business with them. He paused. Need tomorrow night off? For the gala? How did you... Small world, corporate finance. He smiled. Go. Handle your business. But Hadley, whatever you're planning, make it count. That evening, Pearl and I met Dan at his office to finalise our plan. The wall behind his desk was covered in photos and documents connected by red string. Your mother's been busy since the scandal, Dan said, pointing to recent photos. She's worked her way onto 3 charity boards. Each one has contracted exclusively with Stephen's Cruise Line for their fundraising events. Pearl whistled. That's not suspicious at all. The pattern's the same every time, Dan continued. Inflated valuations, predetermined winners, kickbacks disguised as consulting fees. He tapped a document. And William's company has been their biggest donor. He's being played too, I said softly. Exactly. Dan handed me a USB drive. Everything's here. Financial records, forged documents, the life insurance fraud, all of it. Pearl squeezed my hand. Are you sure about this? Once we do this... She sold Cooper, I said firmly. She sold my dog to fund her fraud scheme. Yes, I'm sure. My phone chimed with a text from my mother. Darling, what are you wearing tomorrow night? Please tell me not that dreadful black dress from Pearl's birthday. Pearl snorted. She really does hate that dress. Good, I replied, because that's exactly what I'm wearing. Later that night, I couldn't sleep. I scrolled through William's Instagram, looking at photos of Cooper. He seemed happy at least, well-fed, loved. My phone lit up with a call from an unknown number. Hello? Is this Hadley? A male voice. This is William. William Fowler. My heart stopped. Yes? I hope you don't mind. Stephen gave me your number. Listen, I know this might seem strange, but your mother mentioned you used to have a golden retriever? I sat up straight. Yes. It's just Cooper. That's what I named him. He came with this collar. It had a tag with a different name. Max, I think. And when I tried to register his microchip, it was already registered, I finished. A long pause. Hadley, did your mother sell me your dog? Yes, I whispered. She did. Jesus Christ. He sounded genuinely shocked. I had no idea. I would never... Look, we need to talk. At the gala? Yes, I said. But William, don't tell my mother about this call. Of course not. And Hadley, I'm so sorry. After hanging up, I called Pearl. William knows, I said when she answered. This changes things, she replied. In a good way. Yeah, I said, looking at Dan's USB drive on my nightstand. It does. My phone buzzed one last time. Another text from my mother. Stephen just called. Says you're interested in investing. So proud of you, darling. Finally thinking bigger than just that dog. I didn't reply. Instead, I opened my laptop and started transferring Dan's files. Tomorrow night, everyone would see exactly how big my mother could think. And exactly how far I would go to get Cooper back. The ballroom of the Grand Hotel sparkled with crystal chandeliers and the fake smiles of Seattle's elite. Pearl and I arrived fashionably late, turning heads in our matching black dresses. There's my girl! My mother's voice carried across the room. She air-kissed my cheeks, then stepped back with a frown. Oh, you wore the black dress. You look lovely too, Mum, I said sweetly. Is Stephen here? Of course. He's by the bar with William. She lowered her voice. Such a catch, that William. Single, successful, and currently in possession of stolen property, Pearl muttered under her breath. My mother's eyes narrowed. What was that, dear? Nothing, Pearl smiled brightly. Just admiring the chandelier. We made our way to the bar, where Stephen was holding court with a group of investors. William stood slightly apart, looking uncomfortable in his tuxedo. When he saw me, his face drained of colour. Hadley! Stephen boomed. The woman of the hour! William here was just telling me how excited he is to have you join us on the cruise. Weren't you, William? William's grip tightened on his whiskey glass. Actually, I needed to talk to Hadley about that. Later, I said quietly. Trust me. My mother appeared at Stephen's elbow. Everyone, they're about to start the presentation. Stephen, darling, aren't you giving a speech? That's right. He straightened his tie. Big announcement about our charitable giving programme. Pearl caught my eye and nodded. Right on cue, Dan walked in through the side door, laptop in hand. Is everything ready? I whispered to him as he passed. All set. Just say the word. Stephen took the stage, tapping the microphone. Good evening, everyone. As chairman of the Coastal Dreams Cruise Line, I'm thrilled to announce our most ambitious charitable giving programme yet. I felt a hand on my arm. William had moved closer. Hadley, about Cooper. Wait for it, I said, watching Stephen. Thanks to the tireless efforts of our board member Michelle, we've raised over $2 million for local charities this year alone. My mother beamed, soaking in the applause. I nodded to Dan, who pressed a button on his laptop. The presentation screen behind Stephen flickered. Suddenly, instead of his corporate logo, there were documents, financial records, forged signatures, photos of my mother accepting envelopes in parking lots. What's happening? Stephen fumbled with his notes. What's happening, I said loudly, stepping forward, is the truth. About the fraudulent valuations, the rigged auctions, the kickbacks. The room went dead silent. My mother's face turned pale. Hadley, she hissed, what are you doing? Showing everyone exactly who you are, Mum, including how you sold my dog to William here in exchange for discounted cruise tickets. Tickets that were part of your latest scheme with Stephen. William stepped forward. Is this true? The cruise package you sold me? It's all true, Dan said, joining us. I have proof of everything, including what really happened to Hadley's father's life insurance policy. My mother's carefully constructed facade cracked. You ungrateful little... Mrs. Lucas, a stern voice cut through the chaos. A man in a dark suit approached, showing a badge. I'm Detective Roberts. We've been investigating these charity auctions for months. I'm afraid you'll need to come with me. This is ridiculous, Stephen sputtered. I've never... William, back me up here. But William was already pulling out his phone. Cooper's microchip registration, he said, showing it to the detective. It's still in Hadley's name. I had no idea he was stolen. Add theft to the charges, Detective Roberts said to his partner. As they led my mother and Stephen away, she turned to me one last time. I did everything for you. Everything. No, Mom. You did everything for yourself. Always. The room erupted in shocked whispers and hurried phone calls. Pearl appeared at my side with my coat. Ready to go? Almost. I turned to William. Cooper is at my house, he finished. With my housekeeper. Would you like to go see him? Now? 20 minutes later, I stood in William's driveway as a familiar golden blur came bounding toward me. Cooper! I fell to my knees as he crashed into me, his tail wagging furiously, covering my face in kisses. He never really settled in, William said, watching us. Now I know why. He was waiting for you. Pearl wiped tears from her eyes. Best revenge ever. It wasn't about revenge, I said, holding Cooper close. It was about justice. And coming home, my phone buzzed. A text from Caden. Saw the news. Take Monday off. You've earned it. I smiled, scratching behind Cooper's ears. Let's go home, boy. For real this time. The morning after the gala, my doorbell rang at 7 a.m. Cooper barked once, then wagged his tail as Pearl burst in with coffee and newspapers. Your front page news! She spread 3 different papers across my kitchen counter. Look at these headlines. Charity Gala Scandal Rocks, Seattle Elite, Cruise Line CEO arrested in fraud scheme, and my personal favourite. Daughter exposes mother's criminal enterprise over stolen dog. I sipped my coffee, scratching Cooper's head as he leaned against my leg. Have you heard from... your mother? Oh, just wait. Pearl pulled out her phone and played a voicemail. How dare you help her humiliate me? My mother's voice was shrill, even through the speaker. I'm facing criminal charges because my ungrateful daughter couldn't handle a simple business transaction. And you, Pearl, I always knew you were a bad influence. Delete, Pearl said cheerfully, cutting off the rest. She left me 6 more just like it. My phone rang. William. Hey, I answered. Thanks again for last night. Actually, I'm calling because there's something you should know, he sounded worried. Stephen's lawyers are trying to claim you orchestrated this whole thing to manipulate me and damage the company's reputation. Your mother's backing up their story. Of course she is, I sighed. But we have proof. That's just it, he cut in. I've been going through the company's books all night. There's so much more than what you exposed. I'm heading to the DA's office now to turn over everything. I thought you should know first." "Thank you," I said softly. "For everything." After hanging up, I found Pearl staring at her phone with wide eyes. "What now?" "Your mum just posted on Facebook. It's wow." She handed me her phone. My mother's post was a masterpiece of manipulation. With a heavy heart, I must address the false accusations made by my daughter. As any mother knows, watching your child struggle with professional jealousy is heartbreaking. The dog in question was legally sold, and any implications of wrongdoing are simply a desperate attempt to... "She's really going to try to spin this?" I said in disbelief. "Of course she is," a familiar voice said. Dan stood in my doorway. I hadn't even heard him knock. "But she won't succeed. Not this time." He dropped a thick folder on my counter. "The DA wants to meet with you today. They're offering your mother a deal, but they need your testimony to nail Stephen and the others involved in the charity fraud." Cooper padded over to Dan, tail wagging. Dan knelt to pet him, then looked up at me. "You should know. They found offshore accounts, lots of them, including one with the money from your father's life insurance policy." My hands started shaking. Pearl grabbed them, steadying me. "She's going to jail, isn't she?" I whispered. "Most likely," Dan nodded. "The question is for how long? That depends partly on you." My phone buzzed again, a text from my mother. "Meet me at the house. We can fix this. Family first, remember?" "Don't go," Pearl said immediately. "She's right," Dan agreed. "Anything you say to her now could compromise the case." I looked at Cooper, remembering how it felt when she took him away. How many other things had she taken over the years? How many times had she justified her actions as mother knows best? "I have to go," I said finally. "Not to fix anything, but to end it properly." "Then we're coming with you," Pearl declared. 20 minutes later, we pulled up to my mother's house. She opened the door wearing her signature pearls as if nothing had changed. "Darling, thank good... What are they doing here?" Her smile faltered at the sight of Pearl and Dan. "They're my witnesses," I said, walking past her into the house. Cooper stayed close to my side, his presence giving me strength. "Witnesses? Don't be dramatic. I taught you better than that." She tried to touch my arm, but I stepped back. "No, Mom. You taught me to lie, to manipulate, to take what I want regardless of who it hurts. But here's the thing." I met her eyes steadily. "I learned a different lesson instead." "And what's that?" she asked coldly. "That the truth always comes out. Always." I pulled out my phone and pressed record. "So, let's talk about Dad's life insurance policy and all those offshore accounts and how long you've really been working with Stephen." Her face went through a series of expressions: shock, anger, calculation, and finally something that might have been respect. "Well," she said, smoothing her skirt, "I suppose you really are my daughter after all." "No," I replied. "I'm my father's daughter, and it's time you answered for everything you've done." The DA's office was cold and sterile, nothing like the warm, deceptive comfort of my mother's house. Cooper lay at my feet as I gave my official statement, his presence keeping me grounded. "And when did you first become aware of the fraudulent activities?" the prosecutor, Amanda, asked. I suspected for years, but had proof when Dan showed me the documents. I glanced at Dan, who sat in the corner with Pearl. "But honestly, it started with Cooper." "The dog?" Amanda looked confused. "My mother's biggest mistake was selling him," I explained. "She'd gotten away with everything else because I always believed her excuses. That the life insurance policy change was Dad's choice. That the college fund went to better use. But Cooper..." I reached down to scratch his ears. "Cooper was the line she shouldn't have crossed." A knock at the door interrupted us. Another prosecutor entered, looking excited. "William just finished his deposition," he announced. "You're going to want to hear this." William entered, looking exhausted but determined. "The offshore accounts weren't just for the charity fraud," he said without preamble. "Stephen was running a full Ponzi scheme through the cruise line. Your mother was his principal recruiter for investors." "Jesus," Pearl whispered. "There's more," William continued. "We found emails. Your mother didn't just sell Cooper to me. She was planning to use my connection to the cruise line to bring in bigger investors. She called it securing the family's future." My phone buzzed. A text from my mother's lawyer. "She's ready to talk. Full confession in exchange for consideration during sentencing." Amanda read the message over my shoulder. This is good. With her testimony, we can bring down the entire network. But why now? Pearl asked. Why is she suddenly willing to confess? Because she's lost control of the narrative, Dan said, and control is everything to her. Another knock. This time it was Caden. Sorry to interrupt, he said, but you all need to see this. He held up his tablet, showing a live stream from the local news. My mother sat in an orange jumpsuit, makeup perfect despite her surroundings, speaking directly to the camera. I admit to my mistakes, she was saying, but everything I did was for my daughter, to secure her future, to give her opportunities. Yes, I sold her dog, a decision I deeply regret. But when you're a mother, you do whatever it takes to protect your child's interests. Turn it off, I said quietly. She's trying to spin this into a story about maternal sacrifice, Amanda observed. No, I stood up, Cooper rising with me. She's trying to maintain control one last time, but I have something she doesn't. What's that? William asked. The truth. I pulled out my phone and dialed my mother's lawyer. Tell her I'll speak at her sentencing, but not to help her, to tell everyone exactly who she is. 2 weeks later, I stood in the courtroom, facing my mother. She'd traded her pearls for prison orange, but her eyes were as calculating as ever. My mother taught me that image is everything, I began. That perception matters more than reality. That love is conditional, based on what you can provide. She sold my dog, my best friend, not because she needed money, but because she needed to prove she could. That her control over my life was absolute. I took a deep breath. Feeling Cooper press against my leg, Pearl's hand on my shoulder, Dan's supportive nod from the gallery. But she was wrong. About everything. Love isn't a transaction. Family isn't a business deal. And the truth always matters more than the story you tell about it. My mother's face remained impassive, but her hands trembled slightly. I'm not here to ask for leniency, I continued. I'm here to say that every choice has consequences. Every betrayal leaves a mark. And sometimes the biggest act of love is holding someone accountable for their actions. The judge leaned forward. And what consequences do you believe appropriate, given your mother's cooperation? I looked directly at my mother, whatever the court decides. Because for the first time in my life, I'm not responsible for managing her choices, or protecting her image, or believing her lies. As the bailiff led her away, my mother turned to me one last time. I really did do it all for you, she said softly. No, Mum, you did it for yourself, and now we both have to live with that truth. Outside the courthouse, Cooper bounded ahead as Pearl, Dan, William and Caden walked with me to the car. You okay? Pearl asked. I watched Cooper playing in the sunshine, free and happy. Yeah, I said. I really am. The morning newspaper sat untouched on my kitchen counter as Cooper and I shared our usual breakfast routine. Pearl let herself in, carrying coffee in her laptop. Have you read it? She asked, nodding toward the paper. Not yet. I took a sip of the coffee she offered. How bad is it? 15 years, she said softly. Stephen got 20. The headlines are calling it Justice Served. Cooper padded over, resting his head on my lap as I finally picked up the paper. My mother's booking photo stared back at me, her perfect posture unchanged by prison clothes. She wrote you a letter, Pearl said, pulling an envelope from her bag. It came to my address. I turned the envelope over in my hands, recognizing the precise handwriting. Did you read it? Of course not. She paused. Are you going to? Before I could answer, my doorbell rang. William stood there with a familiar-looking folder. The DA finished processing the offshore accounts, he said, walking in. They found your father's life insurance money, all of it. They're releasing it back to you as the rightful beneficiary. I stared at the folder. I don't want it. What? Pearl and William said in unison. I want to donate it to the animal shelter where I found Cooper. I scratched behind Cooper's ears. Maybe help other dogs find their real families. William smiled. I can help with that. Set up a proper foundation, make it official. Speaking of official, Pearl interjected. Caden called. The promotion board reviewed your case. They're worried about having a convicted fraudster's daughter handling client accounts, I finished. Actually, no, she grinned. They're impressed with your integrity. You're being promoted to senior analyst. My phone buzzed. A text from Dan. Turn on the news. Now. We crowded around Pearl's laptop as she pulled up the local news station. Stephen was being led into court, but it was the headline that caught my attention. Cruise Line CEO names additional conspirators in expanding fraud case. He's turning on everyone, William said, including your mother. It doesn't matter, I replied, picking up her unopened letter. She's already lost everything that mattered to her, her reputation, her social standing, her control. I ripped the letter in half, then quarters, letting the pieces fall into the recycling bin. You don't want to know what she said? Pearl asked. I already know. It would be another manipulation, another attempt to rewrite history. I stood up, grabbing Cooper's leash. Want to come with us to the shelter? I think it's time to start turning this story into something good. At the shelter, the director couldn't believe the size of the donation. This will fund our medical care program for years, she said, wiping away tears. I want to do more than just write a check, I told her. I want to volunteer, help other dogs find their forever homes. Like I found mine, a voice said behind us. It was William, holding a squirming puppy. Meet my new friend. The shelter staff helped me pick her out, Pearl laughed. Another golden retriever? Actually, William smiled. She's Cooper's sister from a new litter. The shelter just got them in. I thought, maybe it's time to make some better memories. Cooper sniffed the puppy carefully, then gave her a gentle lick. The puppy yipped happily, trying to wrestle with her big brother. See? Pearl nudged me. Family isn't always what we're born into. Sometimes it's what we choose. My phone buzzed one last time, another news alert. Michelle Lucas transferred to federal prison. I deleted it without reading further. You know what the best revenge is? I said, watching Cooper play with his sister. Living well, being happy, choosing love over control. Speaking of choices, William said, the shelter's having a fundraising event next month. Would you like to help organise it? Do it right this time. No fake valuations, I teased. No fraud, he promised. Just good people helping good causes. Count me in, Pearl declared. We'll show them how it's done. Cooper barked in agreement, making us all laugh. As we walked out of the shelter, the puppy's adoption papers signed and a volunteer schedule in hand, I felt lighter than I had in weeks. My mother had taught me that image was everything, but she was wrong. The truth was everything. And the truth was, I'd finally found my real family, not in the perfect facade of my mother's world, but in the messy, authentic love of true friends, loyal dogs, and choices that made me proud. Ready to go home? Pearl asked. I looked at my unlikely family, Pearl, William, Cooper, and now a new puppy, and smiled. I already am home.